Hey guys, welcome back to Overtakes. This is Misfit, and I'm going to be running solo today. We had a little logistics issue, me and Kel. So I'm going to be doing our preview today for week 3 of stage 4, Thursday. If you guys are new to the program and new to our channel, thanks a lot for tuning in, and we are glad that you came in. Check us out. If you like what you're hearing and you want to check out more stuff of ours, why don't you hit a like on this one and then subscribe to the channel. We do a lot of Overwatch League stuff every day, pretty much. We do a lot of picks for all the matches, and we do some reviews and recaps and some other things. So thanks for tuning in. Okay, so let's hit it, guys. So yesterday, we're going to hit some news first before we get into the picks. I have Kel's picks for the day, so don't worry. We're going to definitely go over those games coming up. So first, let's go over yesterday. We had a couple of matches that were, went pretty much as everybody thought they would. New York just continues to destroy teams in their path. I think they're making a point. This stage, it's almost evidently clear they could have, let off the throttle, pulled back a little bit, but they're just going after everybody and just kind of wrecking the shit out of everyone. And Philadelphia was just in their way yesterday, and even though we didn't know when we did the video for yesterday's matches that EQO was going to be out, I don't think that would have made a difference if he was in. I did have him on my watch list, on my in your sights for that match. I just wanted to see how he did. He's a really good, Farah, and does a lot of other things to that team. And I just wanted to see, where they were going. Moving forward with Philadelphia, they could be in a little bit of trouble without EQO. I'm not going to lie. And they did not look good at all, but it was New York, so they get a pass on that one. But moving forward, it's going to be interesting to see how they play through this injury that EQO has going into the playoffs. If they get in, they have a big match later on tonight with the Gladiators, who we're going to talk about next. We're not going to talk about Shanghai and Seoul. Seoul looked better, but who doesn't against the Dragons? Moving on to the big match of the day yesterday. So the Gladiators fought it out with the Valiant, and they got 3-0'd. Now, I would like to say that the Gladiators look terrible. But they just ran into a team that was playing better than them. We underestimated the Valiant in this one, but, there were questions that needed to be asked. Every stage they've started off at, the last 2 stages at least, they've gone 4-0 against inferior competition, or teams that are on a downslide, whatever you want to call it. So they got to the bigger matches, and including the playoff matches where they got steamrolled. Can't really count that. It was New York that they had to play, but they didn't look good. They looked a little bit better in the beginning of this stage, but, in the back of your mind, you're going, well, they're playing Boston, who's terrible in this meta. They're playing Shanghai, they're playing Philadelphia. It kind of didn't ring true. Now, yesterday, and me and Kel will get into this a lot more when we do our review next week of how the Gladiators looked and how the Valiant looked in this match. But it was a fantastic match, even though it was 3-0. I mean, it was one of the best matches I've seen in the league thus far. It was just well thought out. Everybody's, the switches, the counter plays, everything was great. And the guy that won that match for them, hands down to me, was Soon. He came through. I mean, on that first map on Blizzard World, he was focused because he killed Surefour at least 4 or 5 times. And he continued to dominate throughout the match. And Kareev played well. Kareev did a great job on Widow as well. So moving forward with these two teams, the Gladiators disappointed me a little bit, and they lost because I thought they were kind of like almost looking like the second best team in the league. I think this is something that would be concerning if I was a Gladiators fan. Now, we say things about the Valiant and how, they kind of benefit from a weak schedule. Now, the Gladiators have really not looked good in big pressure matches lately. Now, yes, you could say that San Francisco was a big match to start the stage. Yes, you could say Houston was a big match. But if you look at their performance in the playoffs, they got absolutely mashed. And they got beat again yesterday in a match that was very, very important as far as the final playoff standings. So moving forward, I think we need to look at what happens with this team when they get into pressure situations, which the highlighted match of the day that we have today is going to be the last match of the day, which is Philadelphia versus the Gladiators, which I'll get to in a little while. We'll talk about the other matches first a little bit. First match isn't that big of a deal. Second match, not from a standing standpoint, but from a stage standpoint and from where these teams are going standpoint, the San Francisco-Dallas match is going to be very, very interesting. We got two teams that are kind of turning around. And look, I love my team. They're doing almost the opposite of what Florida and Shanghai are doing. They're giving a shit about this stage. They're not kind of mailing it in. They haven't lost their mojo or confidence or whatever you want to call it. They are both playing to win in this stage. And not that Florida and Shanghai aren't, but when things start to go awry, they kind of get down. And these two teams are trying to make a point for next year, I think, too. You got guys on Dallas who are playing to stay on Dallas or kind of auditioning for other teams. And then San Francisco, the baby shock, as I've been calling them, the tremors, I guess, in the world of, geology and earthquakes. So they're looking really good in this stage. And you know what? They're looking good for next year. I mean, all of these young guys that they got playing right now are just doing the dirty work, man. They are going in and they're wrecking people, really. I mean, they struggled against the Gladiators. I don't think that they were ready quite yet for the meta. They were testing it out, and the Gladiators were just superior at that point. They looked better towards the end of that match, and then the last couple weeks, we've seen some good play. Last few matches. So that one's going to be interesting. Since we're focusing on that a little bit, let's just talk about we'll get into Dallas here now. Now, as you guys know, we're big on bashing Dallas for obvious reasons, that they were terrible and, a lot of bad things were going on internally. It was drama. It was all kinds of other crap. Now, since the departure of Kai, they have been a different team. And I don't think it was necessarily all of the X's and O's, so to speak, stuff. I think it was a lot of the attitude, a lot of the internal things going on that we didn't see, which is hard to believe with Dallas. Also, giving Seagull a defined role continues to play out as beautiful, because he can flip from off tank to DPS. He can do the Junkrat, the Hanzo, even Genji he's good at. And when they're running the Brigitte with Mickey, who is ungodly, he can play the Diva, and if they need to switch comps, he can switch easily on the Junkrat, and then Mickey can switch back on the Diva or Roadhog or whatever you need. It is actually, this meta has been perfect for Seagull. It's like his hero pool, it was like made for it. I know we said this about Jake and a couple other guys, but throwing him in on Diva, where he's actually, one of the best Divas in the league right now, arguably top 3 or 4. So with him playing Diva at that level, it is definitely a help, because he's better than Mickey on Diva. But in the scenarios where, because like I had said in the previous video that we did, the previous our Wednesday preview, the meta kind of is there is no meta. It's all of them combined. So you're going to need guys like Seagull who play Diva and then can switch to a DPS role quite easily and be very efficient and very good at what he does. Now, also, too, with them, OGE, or OGE, whatever we're calling him, he's been a blessing for them on main tank. Yeah, I did rail him for the boosting thing, which I still am not a fan of, and he came out and apologized and all that stuff, but he's been a consistent main tank, which is what they did not have for the first 3 stages. I mean, obviously they were running Taimu and all kinds of other people on the Winston at that point, and it was just fail. Anyway, with those two guys going the way they are, and then you throw in Taimu, who's got his confidence back, the loss of effect, which seems to be working opposite of the way you would think with them, they're looking pretty good, along with San Francisco. And a lot of it is honestly Architect. We thought that Sinatra would be the big change, which he has made a big difference. I mean, he's a fantastic Tracer player, and he's showing his hero pool right now too in this meta. He's got a good Junkrat, and he's got some good other heroes that he's playing. And then you throw in guys like Dante, and you throw in other players, and their supports have picked it up. Moth and Sleepy. They're just, these two teams, if they continue on this path, Arrow keeps working with Dallas, and Krusty, who came from Boston, is obviously turned this team around. Now, coaching, I know a lot of you guys are like, well, don't believe in the coaching scenarios. Look at what's happened right now. Boston's in the toilet, and San Francisco is looking like a team that for seasons to come is going to be good with Krusty as their head coach. So keep that in mind. Also, Arrow on Dallas. They took Kai out, who had all this confusion and different ideas, and it was a whole mess of bullshit. Arrow came in, has got the team back to where they're competitive, and at some point, they're going to be really good. We'll see what happens in the offseason with the roster changes and all that to that team. But anyway, so to the picks on this, I am going with Dallas. I haven't said that in a long time, but I'm going to take Dallas, and Kel is also taking Dallas in this one. We'll get to the one match before we go to the highlighted match. In our sights for this match, I am going to be watching on Dallas. I'm going to be keeping an eye on Seagull because I just like watching what he's been doing lately. We had talked about, we just talked about how versatile he is and all that stuff. So keep your eye on Seagull and see what he's got going on. And then for San Francisco, I want to watch Sleepy and Moth in this. I think this is where they have an edge over Dallas. I want to see what these guys do, and if they keep their game at the insanely high level they've been playing at, and kind of keep the ball rolling for San Francisco because they've been an integral part to what they've been doing. I'm still taking Dallas, but that's something to watch out for. Okay, so to the one match that's kind of for the week, in our opinion. So we got London taking on Boston. London looks like they're getting back to form. Birdring looked great. Profit looked great. With the set roster, they are looking more like the London that we know from stage 1 than the one we've known since the end of stage 2 where they kind of fell apart. And we're just wallowing around in too many players and all that other crap. Boston looks terrible. There's no other way around it. There's no other way to say it. They look bad. Did they look better against the Valiant? Yes, they did. I think they surprised the Valiant more than anything because they came out and didn't dive all the time. Is that going to change? I think they're going to change their strategy, but you still have the problem on DPS. They don't have anyone they can switch to, anyone they can go to, so they're kind of handcuffed with mistakes in his hero pool. And Striker, while good on the other heroes that he plays, he is way better on Tracer. So their hopes and rely on the maps that they have to play if they're viable for Tracer or not to pick them up. London is a team right now that it doesn't matter what they play. They can run whatever you want to run. They're good on the Brigida stuff. They have, they can do the Widowmaker and Tracer kind of thing if you want. They can do the Junkrat, Orisa, all that kind of stuff. They're getting back to where they were, where they're scary. And Boston right now, I don't think can handle them. So I'm going with London, and so is Kel. Players to watch in this game. I am going to be watching my boy Prophet. I want to see what he can do because he's been running Brigida a lot. He runs the Zarya. He runs, Junkrat, and he runs Genji, and he runs Tracer sometimes when, they do a Tracer Widow with Birdring in there. So I want to check out and see what he has to do or has going on, see what crazy stuff he comes up with, especially when you see him with Birdring. When Birdring's on, it's a really fun watch. So I want to watch Striker again. I want to see where he goes with his hero pool, see if he's, come up with anything new, see if, he can carry on some of these other heroes, and maybe, win a map or two just, like he did in the past. So let's move on to the match of the day. So this is huge. Now, the Gladiators are coming off a disappointing loss, hard-fought, disappointing loss to the Valiant, which, is always a big match. It's always emotional for these guys. And, they didn't look bad, but they got beat in a pressure situation, which is concerning, at least to me. They looked okay. They looked really good for most of the match. They looked really good at times, but they just couldn't close things out. And, like on Oasis, they're 1-1 and they couldn't close out the last phase of that map. Blizzard World, they couldn't finish that off and take the Gladiator, or take the Valiant out by getting one tick on the point with 2 minutes. So it's things like that are concerning to me. Even going back to the playoffs, the same thing happened. They didn't look absolutely horrible. They kind of got beat bad, but they just got beat by a better team at that point, which was pretty much Stryker. Now, Philadelphia, on the other hand, got their asses handed to them by New York. Who doesn't? That being said, EQO is presumably out for this match with a wrist injury. So we're going to have Shadowburn in there, and we're going to see what happens. Shadowburn is great, but he's not on EQO's level at this point. I think we all can agree to that. It's going to make it really tough for Philadelphia because the hero pool and the playstyle of EQO played more to what they were doing and the way they were working. So this is going to be a very interesting match. I think it's going to be a pretty close one. I'm taking the Gladiators in the end in this because I still think they are the superior team right now. And without EQO, Philadelphia is going to be searching. So, honestly, the Gladiators have almost more to prove in this match than the Fusion do. And here's my point. Every time there's a big pressure situation for the Gladiators, they've gotten blanked or, beaten pretty badly. And plus, they just lost the match. I mean, granted, they both lost, and them in Philadelphia kept Houston in somehow, and Seoul. So they have to win this match. I want to see if they come out or if they kind of not choke, but crack a little bit under the pressure like they did against the Valiant. There were just some plays where they just, weren't ready for the moment, it seemed like. Yes, it's early. Yes, it's the second big match in a row in the week. Same thing's going for Philadelphia. I'm still taking the Gladiators, but, you got to take into consideration that. I think overall the Gladiators have a better tank line, even with the switching in and out of the duos of Fraggy and Poco, Sato and Hotba, which seems to be working a little bit for Philadelphia. I give the edge to the Gladiators in that, and they're even on supports right now, I think. Maybe a slight edge to the Gladiators, Big Goose and Chaz. Without EQO, though, that's the big determining factor for me in picking the Gladiators in this match. The synergy that EQO brings to the DPS line and the synergy that he has with the tanks and the supports, something that I don't think Shadowburn's going to bring to the table for this match. And I think in the end, I think it's going to be a 5-map one. Now, we said that about the match yesterday, and that did not work out at all. It very well could have been, but it wasn't. The Valiant finished the map. They got the job done. I think in this one, it's going to be the Gladiators getting the job done and Philadelphia just not having enough without EQO to finish them off. In my sights, I'm going to have Shadowburn to see if he can pick up some of the pieces from, where EQO got injured and, take back over, get back into form, and, start wrecking people like he did before and, providing that synergy that's really needed with the Fusion. Now, on the Gladiators, I'm going to be watching Big Goose and Chaz because, like I said, they might have a slight advantage, but watching them in the last match, Chaz was doing they had him on Tracer on Horizon, they had him doing a couple other different weird things. I want to see what happens in this one with Philadelphia because, you can bring out some Sombra play because you got Dante and things like that. There's going to be some counter stuff going on. So Chaz could be someone to watch, and Big Goose too, bringing out some different characters because he can play Sombra, he can play some DPS as well. So, some tricky stuff could be going on with them. And I also would like to see more Bishu than Void. I think he has a little bit more of a synergy and a little bit more. He works better with Fisher than Void does. I know Void's new; he hasn't played that much, but he just needs to be in there. I think more. I think that should be their core lineup instead of swapping in and out. That was a side note. Anyway, so I have the Gladiators in this one. So does Kel, and that's going to do it for our Thursday show, guys. So be sure to hit a like, click a subscribe. Don't forget that we have the High Noon Pick'em going. Also, very, very much love all of your support and all of the subscriptions and, you guys tuning in and checking us out every video we have and providing feedback and just enjoying what we got going on. Always feel free down in to comment down below. We love responding. We love, making this an open conversation with you guys. Also, don't forget to hit us up on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on all the stuff. All the links are down below. Keep in contact with us. We'll be coming at you tomorrow with our Friday preview, and we will talk to you guys on the next one.